Writing Daily is live. Welcome, everybody, to Writing Daily, the show where we talk about how to write daily, all the writerly things and things that writers do in order to kind of succeed as a writer. My name is Devin Galladay. I'm the editor-in-chief of In the Know Traveler. I'm also the author of the forthcoming memoir, 10,000 Miles with My Dead Father's Ashes. I want to welcome you here today. By the way, Michelle and Justin, thank you for being here. I love it. And so I was at my publishers today. There's actually, this meeting that we just had is probably going to be the last one that we are going to have before the book actually gets launched, which is going to be happening in September. But we talked about a number of things that I think are important and pertinent to writers everywhere. And so we're gonna talk about the subject of whether or not you put photos in your memoir, and if you do, how, when, why, all those kinds of things. It's not as easy as you might think. And welcome, Tom. And by the way, if you like what we're doing, please consider hitting the like button. And if you are watching us for the first time, know that we're sort of everywhere. We're on YouTube and iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and a whole variety of things that will allow you to have access to all of our now over 100 past episodes, which is kind of fun. But so I'm sitting in the publisher's office today, and what I remember a number of months back was somebody had made the comment of, oh, we're going to need, a bunch of photos, and, assuming that there would be some sort of an insert inside of the book of like, okay, here are the players in the book, and here's who's who, and here's, pictures of dad and that kind of stuff, which on the one hand is sort of fun. But if I'm completely honest, I think there is like an invisible line, and I think that line has to do with, shall we say, the literary schema of things. As an example, the main book that really inspired me to get this done, to tell my story, was a book by Mary Card called The Liars Club. I've talked about it before. It is a beautifully written book. She sort of like ushered in the non-celebrity memoir type of book. And she does it with, it's beautiful. And there are really, other than kind of a vague front cover photograph, it's a tiny, tiny thing. For the most part, for anybody else who's taking a look at it, it's really not much of a photo, and it's really not even a great cover. But the book itself is fantastic. Now, that said, part of what I'm doing right now is kind of letting my mother have the bad news. The bad news is that, well, and I don't even know if it's bad news, most memoirs that you read that are not by specifically famous celebrities, like if I was Elvis Presley and I am writing a memoir, undoubtedly there will be a center section with loads of pictures of the names and the places, right? But we know who Elvis is, so we want like a deeper layer of this Elvis thing. We're going to want pictures of the jumpsuits, and we're going to want pictures of the things that we believe we already know in Elvis, because he's long since been established as more of a household name. For somebody like myself, none of that's really true. And so I think really what you're attempting to do is to bring people into your story. Right? Bring people into your truth. And so I don't think that you do that. Like all of the books that I love, that I remember in terms of memoir, The Duke of Deception, a matter of fact, his brother Tobias Wolff, This Boy's Life, neither one of those books have photographs. And I would argue the vast majority, outside of a front and back cover, maybe an inside flap on a hardcover book, you're not going to see those kinds of things. And by the way, welcome Tom and Janie and Robin and Rose and Mark. Thanks so much for being here. And by the way, if you like what I'm doing, please consider hitting the like button or share button or one of those other buttons that lets me know that you're here with me, which I absolutely love and appreciate. So I guess what I'm saying to my mother at this moment in time is like, I think what we ended up with is that I already knew, sort of even asking the question, that photos are probably not the way to go. But I think she was like, no, no, you have to do it. I think you only add photos again, maybe even if you're David Hasselhoff or some sort of a celebrity somewhere that kind of wants to go to that next level. I would also argue that that line that I was talking about before, that sort of invisible line, that literary line, is sort of like, if I'm a celebrity writing a book, I don't know if people are expecting much of my writing. That's my humble opinion. I don't know if it's true or not, or true in all cases, but I might put pictures in as a distraction for the gaps that my writing left behind. And so what I think I've done in writing a book that took me 7 years to write, I think it does actually fit into that literary sphere. And I think pictures would just kind of be a distraction that takes things away. It just doesn't quite make sense. And so I guess what I'm doing is I'm saying sorry to Mom. As my publisher said, that he will in fact bring this up at the sales meeting. They're going to be talking about my book, some marketing things primarily. But I think for me, like, I kind of knew going in that this isn't the right book for pictures. Again, are there other circumstances where maybe putting a photo or two in your memoir would be useful? Well, kind of, I suppose. Like, one of the things that I joked about with the publisher today, which, by the way, is a shout out to Rare Bird. If they're watching, big thumbs up. It's an exciting process, to be sure. I think the only other time, like, if I would want to put pictures, I talk a little bit about my father's, shall we say, shady past. If I had a bunch of pictures that illustrated this particular shady past, like something that would almost be shocking, then maybe, under the mindset that, if you saw it on a table in a bookstore and you picked it up and you opened it in the middle and you saw some crazy self-explanatory photos and then closed it and read the cover again and opened the thing and then read the back and looked at another photo, that might help sell a book. But again, I think in terms of a product, the product ultimately is the writing. The product is sort of like, is the book. And I don't think that there's enough space in that to really do photos justice. I think it's going to be a distraction more than anything else. But if I had a bunch of photos of him doing sort of like, here's some crazy jacked up stuff, but I don't have that. I have mostly him, pictures of him posing for a photo. So, and I just assume, and that's on the front cover, because he's a great and interesting and fantastic guy, and bizarre, and with any luck you'll read about it. So I guess what I'm saying is, for today, I don't believe there's going to be, other than the front cover photo, I don't think there's going to be any photos of the players. It's about me and Dad and other people that are mentioned throughout the book. I don't think it's going to be a useful thing. Again, minor celebrities, or if you're doing certainly outside of genres, like, I don't think you want somebody's imagination to be broken up too much in fiction by putting in sort of like, well, here's the historical fiction pieces of my novel. I think you still want the fiction element to be the star. And so I don't think you do it in fiction. I don't think you do it in most memoir. I think how-to books, cookbooks, kind of more like straight nonfiction kinds of things, where you're saying, I'm writing a book about Mount Rushmore, and boom, there is a picture of Mount Rushmore. So anyway, I think that's what we've got for today. I'm going to keep writing, not adding pictures, and we'll find out the results of my publisher's comment. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about our meeting in the upcoming days, because there's some interesting writerly things that I think writers are going to want to know about, how it's going to manifest in their own projects, which is going to be fun. But in the interim, please consider liking and sharing and subscribing on iTunes and YouTube, and let's just keep talking about writing daily. It helps me make sure that I get my projects done. I hope it does the same thing for you, and mwah to you guys, and thank you for participating, and I hope to see you all again real soon.